Welcome to Gasset. Today, we will be discussing how Claude Code can dramatically accelerate building n8n workflows, a beginner-friendly walkthrough of using a coding agent to scaffold, edit, and debug automation flows. In this explainer, we're taking a deep dive into a massive shift in technical development. We're talking about totally bypassing that tedious, manual process of building complex automations. Instead, you can literally just command an AI to do the heavy lifting for you, right inside your own environment. Honestly, understanding this shift is absolutely crucial for any business owner who's looking to scale their operations efficiently.
Now, getting the hang of this requires a fundamental mindset shift. You really need to think of Claude Code not as some intense coding exercise, but more like managing a human developer. If you can chat with a brainstorming partner or a project manager, you can absolutely use this system. Clear communication of your end goal is the only true prerequisite here. It's going to ask you clarifying questions, figure out where it went wrong if it hits a snag, and just correct itself. You are the director, the AI is your builder. The barrier to entry for complex automation isn't about knowing technical syntax anymore. It's all about how well you can articulate your business logic. Okay, let's take a quick look at our agenda for today. We'll kick things off with Section 1, the AI workflow paradigm. Then move right into Section 2, essential setup and tools. After that, Section 3 covers supercharging Claude with skills, followed by Section 4, planning the system prompt. Then we get to the really fun stuff in Section 5, building a custom workflow, and finally, we'll wrap up with Section 6, best practices and limitations. Let's get into it.
Section 1. The AI workflow paradigm. This is an entirely new way to build. To kick things off, we really need to understand exactly where and how this automation magic actually happens. Because we are moving far away from that standard browser tab you're probably used to.
See, there's a massive difference between the Claude you chat with on the web and Claude Code. While the standard web version is fantastic for chatting and brainstorming, it's pretty isolated. Claude Code, on the other hand, operates cleanly inside an integrated development environment, specifically Visual Studio Code. And this gives it the unprecedented power to actually read, write, and manipulate files, as well as execute commands right within your project folder. It's kind of like the difference between asking someone for advice over the phone versus having an expert pull up a chair, sit right at your desk, and do the work for you. For business automation, this local execution is exactly what bridges the gap between a fun theory and an immediate deployment.
Moving on to Section 2, essential setup and tools. Let's get your workspace prepared. So you might be wondering, how exactly do we get this expert builder sitting at our desk? Well, creating this AI workspace is surprisingly straightforward and super accessible.
Setting this up takes just 3 simple steps, and thankfully, we get to bypass all those text-heavy, intimidating terminal screens that usually scare non-developers away. First up, download Visual Studio Code. It's completely free and acts as our clean, modern interface. Second, jump over to the Extensions tab and install the Claude Code extension. And third, simply sign in to your Anthropic account. That's the whole shebang. Once you're in, you just create a fresh, empty folder on your computer, let's call it Agented Workflows for now, and open it right up in Visual Studio Code. Just like that, you've got a blank canvas ready for your AI agent to start architecting your business processes.
All right, Section 3, supercharging Claude with skills. We need to give our AI some hands and brains. Because, let's face it, a blank canvas isn't quite enough. Out of the box, Claude understands standard code like JSON, but it doesn't intuitively know the exact node configurations and expressions required for your specific n8n environment. We have to give it some specialized tools to let it talk directly to your systems.
Enter the n8n MCP server. Think of this as the virtual hands for your AI agent. MCP stands for Model Context Protocol, by the way. By feeding the GitHub repository link of the n8n MCP server straight to Claude, it installs a tool that gives the AI complete coverage of over 1,100 nodes, boasting a crazy 99% property accuracy. I mean, it literally allows Claude to execute commands, update configurations, and deploy workflows right into your live cloud environment. This takes the AI from being a passive little assistant and turns it into a fully active, hands-on systems engineer.
But of course, it also needs a brain for n8n's specific logic. And that is exactly where n8n's skills come into play. You simply give Claude a link to an n8n skills repository, which installs specialized instructions covering expression syntax, workflow patterns, and node validations. The biggest advantage here? Pure efficiency. These skills act as a highly targeted knowledge base. So instead of cramming all this massive data into every single prompt, which, wastes a ton of computational tokens, Claude only reads these skills when it absolutely needs to solve a specific syntax problem. It guarantees flawless syntax while saving you precious processing power and API costs.
Section 4. Planning the system prompt. It's time to set the ground rules. Before we just take the leash off and give our AI agent free rein to use its powerful new hands and brain, we have to establish the operational parameters for the whole project. We do this by creating a super simple markdown file called claude.md. This acts as the master system prompt for your folder, establishing a really strict cadence for how you work. Now, you should always start in what's called plan mode. In plan mode, Claude won't actually touch your live environment. Instead, it brainstorms, it asks you clarifying questions, like, hey, what time zone should this run in? Or which specific search tool are we using? And it maps out the entire architecture. Once you review and approve that blueprint, then you switch over to bypass permissions mode. This is where you let it loose. It executes instantly, modifies your files, and uses that MCP server we talked about to deploy the workflow directly to your n8n instance, ensuring everything is totally accurate before it actually runs. Which brings us to Section 5, building a custom workflow. Let's look at an automated AI newsletter. We're going to dive into a practical business case right now to see this totally automated process in action. We'll be reverse engineering a fully automated daily AI research newsletter.
Okay, let's establish our exact parameters while we're in plan mode. We want a scheduled trigger set for exactly 7 a.m. Eastern Time. Next, we want a research agent that uses the Perplexity API to scrape the web for the latest news on AI automation. Then, we need a second agent, specifically using Anthropic's Sonnet 4.5 model, to take all that raw research and format it into a slick, professional, HTML-styled newsletter. And finally, we want the whole thing delivered straight to our inbox via a Gmail node. Here's the real game changer. By simply brain dumping these really clear business requirements directly into the chat, Claude Code automatically searches its MCP documentation, configures all those specific nodes, writes the internal system prompts for those AI agents, and perfectly connects the entire flow right in your n8n instance. What used to take maybe an hour or more of frustrating manual node tweaking, debugging, and wire connecting is now scaffolded and deployed in mere minutes. It's incredible.
Section 6. Best practices and limitations. Knowing how to respect AI boundaries. So while this entire system drastically lowers the barrier to entry for building complex automations, it is absolutely crucial to keep an objective view of the technical boundaries of current AI models. We really want to avoid any operational disruptions here.
You absolutely must respect the limits of the technology we have today. If you go in and try to push the model to generate massive, highly complex sequences, say a 60+ node workflow all in one single prompt, you are asking for trouble. The AI will certainly try its best to do it, but it can easily throttle the API. It'll time out, try again, time out again, and this aggressive, endless looping can actually make your system unresponsive and temporarily crash your n8n cloud server. The major takeaway here, keep your workflow requests modular and concise. Build your automations out in smaller, logical chunks, validate them, and then move on to the next piece. Treat the AI like a really brilliant junior developer. Give them clear, manageable tasks rather than throwing an entire enterprise architecture at their desk all at once.
The barrier between plain, natural language and complex automation has literally never been lower. If you can command a junior developer, you can now orchestrate an entire suite of business operations right from your local drive. So I'll leave you with this. What will be the very first bottleneck in your business that you ask AI to automate? That's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe.